Penguin Random House Audio presents Just As I Am by Lynn Harris. Read by Michael Boatman and Brenda Braxton.
I imagine the world was created beneath a canopy of silence, perfect silence, while in my own personal silence I would create the world I dreamed of, a world full of love and absent of life's harsh realities, a place called perfect. But I've come to realize that some dreams you have to give up. I live in a world that promises to protect me but will not catch me when I fall. In this life I have fallen many times. From these falls I have learned many lessons. Lessons involving lust, loss, love, and life. Lessons that hit as hard as an unannounced summer thunderstorm, sudden and sometimes destructive. My name is Raymond Winston Tyler, Jr., and I am a 32, soon-to-be 33-year-old second-generation attorney. I had a happy childhood, growing up deeply ensconced in the black middle class, a child of the integrated New South, born and raised in Birmingham, Alabama, a city that in the past was known more for church bombing than being the bedrock of college football. I returned home after law school and several years of successful practice in a large New York firm. About a year ago, I moved to Atlanta after a 2-year stint of running my pop's law firm while he followed his lifelong dream and became a member of the Alabama State Senate. Atlanta struck me as a vibrant city, and even though it didn't have the flash and energy of New York City, it was more conducive to my life than Birmingham. Now, don't get me wrong. I love my family and my birthplace, but I knew it was time to move on and continue my search for perfect. I had originally moved to Atlanta with the understanding that I would go to work for the city government, but a few days before I was to start, I received word that a hiring freeze had been put into effect. I later found out that the reason for the freeze was because someone in the mayor's office wanted the position promised to me to go to an openly gay, black attorney. Now, wasn't that just the shit? My Columbia Law School education and major New York firm experience didn't amount to anything. Just my sexual orientation, and then only if I was willing to make it public. Which I wasn't. So, with the help of my good friend Jared Stovall, I went to work for Battle, Carroll & Myers, a black female-owned law firm specializing in entertainment and sports law. My social life in Atlanta was in a lot of respects similar to life in Birmingham, back in the closet. Atlanta did have a visibly gay community, but it was visibly white. I wasn't forced into the closet, it was just a choice I'd made out of respect for my family, especially my pops. My parents knew about and tried to accept my sexuality, but the fact that they knew didn't mean they wanted to discuss it around the dinner table. So, like my parents, I too decided to ignore my sexuality and went back to my old straight act the minute I left New York. Talk about your safe sex. I'd met Jared Taylor Stovall in Birmingham when he'd come to run my pop's political campaign. Jared was a political consultant who had been highly recommended when pop's victory was in doubt. Jared became a member of our family, practically moving into my parents' home during the race. Jared actually convinced me to move to Atlanta by offering me a place to stay and remarking with a devilish smile, "I want my nigga around me all the time." Jared was quite handsome in a rugged sort of way. His looks inspired confidence, tall and strapping, 6'3" and 210 pounds of slightly bow-legged, biscuit-brown masculinity. Large, bittersweet brown eyes, and a smile that would have lit up the Atlanta skyline. He was as smart as he was good-looking, finishing at the top of his class at Morris Brown College, and later getting an MBA at Clark Atlanta University. I hadn't shared my sexuality with Jared mainly because it had never come up. I hadn't determined if Jared himself was gay or straight, just as I couldn't tell if his closely cropped hair was naturally curly or mildly relaxed. Only when I felt lonely did Jared's sexuality cross my mind. Sleeping alone with just my pillows for comfort created an insatiable void in my life. Our relationship wavered between brotherly love and romantic love, though it was a romance without sex, a romance in my mind only, at least as far as I knew. I'm what you would call a severe romantic, yet lasting romance has eluded me. My love life had included a quartet of lovers, 2 men, Calvin and Quinn, sandwiched between my first love, Selah, and Nicole, the woman who had broken my heart because I hadn't told the truth. A lie that sent me back to Birmingham, back into the closet, and into my present celibate state. Now, even though I hate labels, I still consider myself bisexual. A sexual mulatto. I mean, how else could I explain how members of the singing group En Vogue and certain members of the Atlanta Braves aroused my sexual desires with equal measure? I didn't feel comfortable in a totally gay environment or in a totally straight environment. I often wondered where the term gay came from. Lonely would better describe the life for me. There was absolutely nothing gay about being a black man and living life attracted to members of your own sex in this imperfect world I called home. For now, a place called perfect remained a dream.
When I was in the 4th grade, the boy who sat behind me would always pull my hair any time he thought no one was looking. One day, instead of pulling my braids, he slipped a note in my hand. It read, "Will you go with me? Yes, no, maybe. Please circle 1. Since I didn't know where he wanted me to go, I placed the note in my knee socks and took it home to my daddy, asking him what I should do. He gave me some advice I've always tried to live by. Listen to your heart, he said. From my daddy's words of wisdom, I realized that my heart has a voice. It speaks to me with each beat. My heart protects me, shielding me from the things I can't see or lack the courage to face. My heart knows who I am and who I'll turn out to be. My name is Nicole Marie Springer, former beauty queen, Broadway actress, and sometime word processor. 30 years of age, but that's 25 in showbiz years. Born and raised in Sweet Home, Arkansas, right outside of Little Rock. Population, 585 and 1 stoplight. A small-town girl with big city goals. They say in every life some rain must fall, but I've just come through a couple of years dominated by thunderstorms. In the last 3 years, I lost my beloved father to a sudden heart attack, my best friend Candace to AIDS, and Raymond, the brief love of my life, to another man. The death of my daddy, though sudden, was not quite a surprise. He was 77 years old and had spent his twilight years defying his doctor by not taking his high blood pressure medication. But the loss of my college sorority sister and closest confidant was devastating. Candace, the first person I had met at Spelman College, was not only beautiful and brilliant, but was just months away from her dream of becoming a physician. Her sudden illness hit like a ton of bricks. Candace told me hours after our initial meeting that she was going to become a doctor, marry, and have 2 children. She lived to see only one of her dreams come true, marrying Kelvin on her deathbed. Kelvin Ellis, the suspected culprit of Candace's demise. Kelvin, the same man who introduced me to Raymond, who I fell quickly and deeply in love with, the love I thought my heart had led me to. After the breakup with Raymond, I questioned how Candace and I could have fallen in love with men who were so incapable of loving us completely. Men who would never give the one thing they could give for free: honesty. This leads me to my current beau, Dr. Pierce Gessler. In a decade where everybody was looking for safe sex, I was searching for safe love. With Pierce, I was able to maintain my self-imposed celibacy vow and still have a suitable escort when needed. Oh yes, Pierce is white and Jewish. So much for my dreams of marrying a BMS, black man straight. But Pierce was wonderful, supportive, and loving without a lot of luggage. He helped me out in the lean times when I was getting more calls from temp agencies than my agent. An agent whom I later fired when I heard him tell a casting person at a soap opera that I was a dark-skinned Robin Givens. Pierce was always telling me how beautiful I was. It made me feel good. No man besides my daddy had ever constantly told me I was beautiful. Raymond told me a couple of times, but his honesty was in question. And even though I had won several beauty pageants and was 3rd runner-up to Miss America, I never considered myself beautiful. When I looked in the mirror, I saw a face enhanced by fashion fair makeup, and hair, even though it was my own,
Sample complete. Ready to continue?